Hey there, Agile Adventurer. Just a quick question. What if, for the price of a fancy coffee or half a pizza, you could unlock over 700 hours of the best Agile content on the planet? That's audio, video, e-courses, books, presentations, all that you can think of. But you can also join live calls with world-class practitioners and hang out in a flame war-free and AI slop-clean Slack with the sharpest minds in the game. Oh, and yes, you get direct access to me, Vasco, your Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. No, this is not a drill. It's the Scrum Master Toolbox membership. And it's your unfair advantage in the Agile world. So if you want to know more, go check out scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. That's scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. And check out all the goodies we have for you. Do it now. But if you're not doing it now, let's listen to the podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to one more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. And this week, we're actually taking the product owner perspective with our guest, Njegos Ilic. Hey, Njegos, welcome to the show.
Hello, Vasco. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So Njegos is a motivated and forward-thinking product manager and occasionally also project manager. He'll tell us more about that. With experience in fast-paced SaaS environments, he empowers teams through leadership and guidance across product development. With a lean mindset, he simplifies complexity, delivers in small testable increments, and leverages rapid feedback loops to prioritize outcomes over output. So Njegos, that was a short intro. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and how did you end up becoming a product owner?
So basically, it's a long story short. It was like a mutual decision with me and my wife because like 10 years ago when I met her, actually, because I started actually as my primary degree, university bachelor's degree was in economics. So I was working like a regulatory officer in one big power plant company actually in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And then I was a little bit bored, to be honest. And at that time, 10 years ago, I met my wife, and she's actually a software engineer. And I was basically trying to see, hey, what I can do, how I can do something else, you know. And then basically, it was her advice, hey, you should move in IT. And back then, IT was really blooming. It was really crazy, at least in Balkans, especially probably in the rest of the world as well. And that's how it started, actually. Our mutual friend handed over to me, a couple of really long books. And I started reading, about Agile in general, about Scrum, about stuff. And I think I read, in 1 month, 3 or 4 books. It was really fast. And this guy, he was like, yeah, I never saw someone who is, who read that many books in this short of time and, absorb or digest these concepts. And that way, at that time, actually, I knew that I might have a chance actually to switch, to make this career switch. And basically, I just tried to check my, to see some opportunities, job ads and stuff. And basically there was one startup, they hired actually for a product owner, and I just applied and I got the job. And that's basically how it started for me. Even though in the beginnings, I was more focused, I was trying to get maybe a Scrum Master role back then, of course. But that's how it started, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it can't harm to be a Scrum Master before a product owner, but it's perfectly fine to go straight to the product owner role. But one thing that probably you went through, or at least later on for sure, is, of course, the difficult moment, the story of failure. Njegos, today's Monday, Fail Monday, as we call it here on the podcast. So let's share one of those stories. We'll talk about what you learned, the insights and all of that later on, but tell us that story of failure as a product owner.
As a product owner. So, I don't know, for me, as a product owner, it's connected also, I would say also to the Scrum Master and to the team, But the biggest failure is, trying to get some results and stuff if you are completely detached from the team. And I would say the whole team is not that empowered, even though you're, using those terms. Okay, he is a product owner. We have a Scrum Master, but at the end of the day, you're not making the shots. And it's really hard to, operate and navigate in that environment. And then, you're trying to do your best, to organize as good as you can. But at the end of the day, it's really hard to navigate through that extra environment. But if I need to, not to make it, too vague, if I have to make just one, example, I would say it's, trying to basically build everything that the stakeholder is asking from you. I know it's a common theme with the product manager.
We've heard many times that same anti-pattern here on the podcast.
Exactly. But I think everything comes up at the end of the day to the basics. I think if you don't know how to say no, and if you don't know the product, that's also really, really important thing to know the industry and the product. Then it's really, around every corner there is a, you can fail.
So tell us a little bit more about that, because one thing is to think about, okay, yeah, we ended up doing everything that the stakeholders asked for, which is okay. That's what happened, right? Like you can't argue with that, but that's only really the surface of what happened. We're interested in what's going on underneath that surface. What was your thinking process? Like what drove you to eventually say yes to everything the stakeholders gave you? Because, many of our listeners are Scrum Masters, so they are on the other side of the product owner wall, right? Like they're looking at the product owners, saying yes to everything that is coming their way. So what drove you, Njegos, to say yes to all the requests that were coming in?
To be honest, like in the beginning of my career, mostly it was, trying to fit in. You try to fit in, you're trying to please at least these, big heads, especially in the startup environment where basically you don't have that much, you're not that free to operate as you wish and to make the shots. So
typically working with very strong personalities, right? Like
exactly,
founders are usually driven people who want to get things done and want people to say yes to them.
But I would say that in some of these environments, basically the game is rigged because they are strong personalities. They want to get things done, but at the end of the day, you don't have a magic stick, and it's really hard actually to deliver the result if you cannot if you cannot say no, or if you cannot pivot with some really important decisions. So that's why I think it's really good actually for the starting of the career to be in those environments, even though you will fail. I think the failing is really one of the most important steps in learning, actually. We will come to that probably in some later in the, with your questions. But I think for someone who is starting or who is a meteor, I don't know how to call these roles, but it's really important to be in those kind of situations, because then it will empower you later on to set the expectation right with the.
That's actually a very interesting perspective. So if I understand you right, what you're saying is don't try to avoid failures too hard, because you might actually prevent yourself from learning some important lessons.
Yeah, listen, it's that simple. Like I will just use really common example. I have kids. Like you cannot expect from the kids to learn how to walk or run, and they will not stumble or fail somewhat. Like it's just a process of growing, and I think the same concept can be applied of anything that we work. So it's really that simple, but it's really hard to comprehend that fully, because one is to know things in theory, and the other thing is actually,
So what advice do you have for product owners out there who are listening to us right now, probably making the exact same mistake you did back then, and probably feeling bad about it as well, right? So what wise words of advice do you have for product owners out there who are exactly right now in that position?
I would make it again really simple. Just use this as a feedback loop. Like, I'm really coming from this lean perspective. With the product, you always try to build first to understand the problem, then to build something in order so you can measure, so you can learn. The same applies here. This is just a feedback loop, like one feedback loop for you, and it's actually the cheapest place to learn because you already failed. You cannot make it, different or,
it's there. It's part of the history already.
Exactly. But what you can change is actually your approach to that problem further on in the future when you, again, stumble upon it. Also, working with maybe also advice for, the same concept with the Scrum Masters. For example, I work in a lot of companies, a lot of startups. Actually, at the end of the day, I spoke with one of my friends and he was like, yeah, at the end of the day, you always, handle with the same kinds of personalities or similar personalities. And if you think if just by changing company, you will avoid the problems, you're really wrong because you will get that personality again. So you need to find a way, to learn how to handle those situations. So that's basically in a nutshell what I believe. And that's my experience. Maybe there is something else, but yeah.
Yeah. And I think this is actually very wise because we can't avoid it. Sooner or later, everyone makes mistakes. And to have that perspective and to want to learn and then actually doing the work of learning, right? Like, what did I do? What should have been different? What was not possible to be different? Why not? Like, all of that stuff is really important reflection. So thank you very much for bringing that story to us, Njegos.
Thank you for asking.
All right, I hope you liked this episode. But before you hit next episode, here's the deal. This podcast is powered by people like you, the members who wanted more than just inspiration. They wanted real tools and real connection to people who are practicing Agile every day. We're talking access to over 700 hours of Agile Gold, CTO level strategy talks, summit keynotes, live workshops, e-courses, deep dive interviews, books, and if you're into no estimates, we got the pioneers of no estimates in those deep dive interviews as well. Agile business intelligence, creating product visions, coaching your product owner courses, you name it. You'll get invites to monthly live Q&As with Agile pioneers and practitioners, plus a private Slack community, which is free of all of that AI slop you see everywhere, and of course, without the flame wars. It's a community of practitioners that want to learn and thrive together. It's the best place to connect with community and learn together. So if this podcast has helped you before, imagine what you will get from this podcast membership. So head on over to scrummastertoolbox.org/membership and join the community that's shaping the future of Agile. And we have so much for you. So check out all the details at scrummastertoolbox.org/membership because listening is great, it's important, but doing it together, that's next level. I'll see you in the community Slack. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.